Females, males, and their brains. On Twitter, Kevin Mitchell is a neurogeneticist who makes claims supporting that females and males have different brains. It is highly debated if males and females actually have different brains. The debate has social as well as scientific implications. It is common to think that behaviors and actions differentiate male and female brains. The idea that males and females have the same brain is known as a feminist perspective, also known as neurosexism. One claim that Kevin Mitchell makes is that women and men have different brains. Overall, men and women's brains are much more similar than they are different. If there are differences that exist, they are small. The female-male distribution of gender characteristics substantially overlap. Neuroscientists still do not have a clear understanding of how the brain processes emotion to explain a general model of sex differences in the brain. It has been well established that men and women do not have different intelligence levels. Contemporary gendered research has also overturned many old views of gendered behaviors such as traits like aggression, abilities such as empathetic accuracy, or interest in things like science or the roles of such as caregiving. The differences in men and women brain sizes is offset by the men's greater height and weight. Luders confirms that there is no significant effect of brain size. The phenomena of nature versus nurture makes it hard to determine how and if female and male brains are different when they are wired differently. Neural pathways explain some of the differences. Men and women may use different neural pathways to achieve the same function or behavior. Luders studies gray matter, white matter, CSF, and total brain volume in respect to gender differences. The study showed that when comparing normal men and women, it was shown that there was no difference in their gray matter. For matched men and women, there was no difference between their total brain volume, gray matter, white matter, and CSF. Another claim that Kevin Mitchell makes is that there are more studies and neuroimaging parameters to show the sex differences in brains. There is much evidence against this claim. Scientists have resorted to methodological contortions to achieve desired results. The results of data become even more contorted when popular media gets a hold of them. fMRI data especially causes problems. Neuroimaging is a newer field where scientists still have issues with areas of the brain they should be focusing on. Region of interest, known as ROI, and within-group analyses are of limited use, as ROI focuses only on one part of the brain, and as we know, multiple parts of the brain can be involved in just one behavior or function. Group analyses often analyze the female and male groups separately rather than against each other. Often the men and women's groups are not made equal, where capacities of each person in each group are unequal. Small sample sizes are also common, which provide unrepresentative results. Spurious results due to the difficulty of balancing participants on nuisance variables that affect neuroimaging signal is also a problem that occurs with small sample sizes. Therefore, it is not considered the amount of females and males needed for adequate statistical power. Correlation does not equal causation, but is a common mistake among the area of study. Knowing an area is active in one group but not in the other does not establish that an area is more active in one group than the other. False positives are most costly error in science and are also frequent in this area of study. In addition to publication bias, false positives are also exacerbated in sex differences research. Double dissociation is often not achieved in this area of study. Absence of neat one-to-one mapping between brain regions and mental processes renders reverse references logically invalid. Often a single snapshot of a male and female comparison is achieved, which does not provide much data. This does not allow challenges to notion of stable universal sex differences in the brain. One last claim Kevin Mitchell makes is that biological and social effects cause the differences between male and female brains. Just like the other claims, there is sufficient evidence against this one as well. Information is spread through social media. When this happens, even information from bad studies will enhance the general population's confidence about their conclusion. Media is often given the same credibility as legitimate studies. Therefore, the lack of general knowledge about neuroscience affects how society interprets the information. Gender essentialism is the idea of deep-rooted, permanent, and distinct male versus female essences that make gender division seem natural, inevitable, and desirable. While this affects society, it affects the scientists as well, creating a bias. Because this is often embedded from society from birth, it is one of the harder things to keep objective to. Social events like leisure activities, socioeconomic status, and demographics can all affect how gender differences are formed. This is most effective in the early development of the brain. The research done on gender differences has political implication. Fine writes about Cahill, a scientist whose colleagues were afraid to write about this topic. They considered it politically dangerous and not a permissible hypothesis. Findings in gender research often support gender stereotypes in society. The stigmas reinforce men and women continue to act the way they do.